Yes.
The Washington Wizards are a mess, so let's trade.
Trade everybody.
Yeah, we're just going to do 2 fake trades each.
Okay.
For the Washington Wizards, because
let's start with the John Wall, who really needs to go.
Okay. Yeah. If I was the Wizards, I'd be doing everything I can to trade John Wall. Zach Lowe brought up a good point in his article that there is some confusion about the 15% trade kicker in John Wall's deal. Just in regard to the CBA and like, honestly, whether or not he can be traded this year.
Everything is fine.
My theory on this is that if I am the Charlotte Hornets, I would not want anything to do with John Wall. But the reason that I am going to say this is because it seems like a very Mitch Kupchak-y thing.
Oh, so Mitch Kupchak-y.
To bring John Wall home to North Carolina and
Mitch Kupchak-y.
replace Kemba Walker if they lose Kemba Walker this summer. If I was Charlotte, I'd just pay Kemba Walker.
Yes.
But, maybe Kemba obviously has the option.
Hey, you know how we have a really good point guard who can kind of do all the same stuff as John Wall, but isn't totally toxic? Let's trade him for the toxic guy.
Again, I would just pay Kemba Walker, but ultimately Kemba has say in where he goes this summer.
Extremely valid.
If Kemba leaves, Kemba leaves.
Plus, this is Tony Parker's team now.
My idea is John Wall for essentially Bismack.
Ooh.
That's where we're at.
That they could have Bismack. What a center rotation the Wiz would have if they had a Bismack.
Yeah, like Bismack, Biyombo. We could even say like Cody Zeller. It's not like the salary difference is like way different.
Cody Zeller's a better player, so maybe that.
But like you do like Bismack, you do Marvin Williams. That gets you pretty darn close to the money.
Yes.
And it also is expiring money next year.
Yes.
That can get Charlotte off of, or they can get the Wizards off of their money and have them clean by 2020.
Right.
And then I guess you could do something like Malik Monk if you want.
Yeah. I think that would be a nice kicker. I don't know.
Sure.
I like Malik Monk.
Again, would not do this if I was Charlotte. Let me be very clear about it. But to me, it just seems like a very Mitch Kupchak-y move to try
it's so weird.
Weird.
But it's an idea. You got another one for me? You got one that's not so fucking weird?
So the other one is Miami. Again,
not weird.
Another intra-divisional trade.
You're going to get rid of them, at least poison another team in your division.
You could do Tyler Johnson.
Okay.
You could do really you could kind of do whoever.
You can kind of do it with just Tyler.
Yeah, the guy that could get you there is Hassan Whiteside.
God damn, that'd be a wonderful trade.
Because Hassan expires after next year. So again,
yeah,
Hassan Whiteside gets you pretty darn close in terms of money, and you can add someone else if you need to. And then one young player from the Miami Heat. And the reason that I think that makes sense is
Bam.
I can see Miami deciding that they're the team that has had success in the past, rehabilitating guys' bodies and getting them into pristine shape.
That's
and
factual.
Maybe they think that they could recover some of John Wall's speed that is currently gone. Sure.
Yeah.
That's if they miss out on everything this summer.
And I think that's kind of where Miami might be at, where they're like, shit, we keep losing. Pristine free agents, which by the way should want to go to Miami.
Miami's great.
That's a really good place to be rich.
But it's pretty nice.
If I could be rich, I'd live in Miami. Just a heads up, if someone wants to pay me, I will gladly move to Miami. Live there before I'll do it again.
LA, baby.
Nah, there's something really Miami has a disproportionate amount of cultural cachet for the population base, and also that weather is really listen, LA weather's great. It is fantastic, but I don't know. There's something just cool about Miami, whereas LA, you and I both know, they can suck the soul out of you.
Still has not sucked the soul out of me, but I understand.
I loved it when I lived in LA. Don't get me wrong. It's just Century City doesn't exactly get my heart racing.
That's true. That's fair. Okay. Who are your two? because those are my two ideas.
They're bold. They're bold, and I like them.
Yeah. They essentially get Washington a young player, they clear their books by 2020, and allow them to rebuild.
So mine is trying to get Bradley Beal and Otto Porter out of there because I truly believe that the John Wall contract is not tradable. And
yes, that honestly, if I was any team in the league, I would not take the John Wall contract. Like, now, just being real about it.
Now, there's a legitimate argument to be made, and I would, in fact, probably argue this point, which is if you're not going to get rid of John Wall, you might as well just keep these guys together and hope it works out, because there's no way you're getting better if you're trading Otto Porter and Bradley Beal. But because I want Bradley Beal and Otto Porter to be successful and live their best lives, I have divided some trades. So the one that I want more than anything, and I think could really shake up the Western Conference to a certain degree, is Otto Porter to the Pellies. And it is difficult to do. But Solomon Hill, Wes Johnson, Darius Miller, and Check Diallo get the job done. I don't know who else you have to throw in there, but holy shit, is it hard to move Otto Porter's contract.
So my idea on that is you just wait until December 15th and you move Julius Randle in the deal.
I'm trying to find a way that the Pellies don't actually have to give up players that are, I mean, if Solomon Hill is the best player you're giving up, one, it's a trade that will probably never happen. This is just a let me get off this money and get some expiring contracts sort of a thing. But like, Solomon Hill's a good player. He is not an impact player, whereas Julius Randle for the Pellies is an impact player. And given the state of the Pellies and the fact that they don't know if they're going to exist next year in like an almost literal way, they might as well go all in, and giving up a guy like Julius Randle, who I agree and make it a lot easier if you just traded him. But you want to keep as much talent on this team as possible, because there's a vacancy at the second best team in the Western Conference, and it could be these Pellies.
So the reason I say Randle is because just based off of the year he's having right now, he has to opt out at the end of the season.
1,000%, yeah.
And the Pelicans will not have any bird rights on him.
But the Pellies are screwed no matter what. Like, if Anthony Davis decides to leave, it's over. Now, they can't get Randle back, as you were making the point before I rudely interrupted.
No, it's fine. I interrupt you all the time.
He's not coming back. He's not coming back. You're getting 1 year Julius Randle, so your thought is essentially make it a half year and get something that you can actually have long term.
You could eat into your cap space to do it, but
yeah, they can't. They can't do that.
Yeah, I think they have some money coming up this summer. They can
for Julius Randle. It's right on the line.
Yeah, you probably don't want to do it though. Is my point.
Yeah.
So my theory is you move him is like just the salary ballast, and then you also give Washington a chance to, maybe potentially try and decide that they want to keep him.
Yeah, he'd be fun in that. Again, he'd be fun with John Wall.
Probably can't, but like just salary ballast and it works. Then you throw in like Frank Jackson in two firsts, or Frank Jackson in a first.
Yeah, that's the kicker on this, because. Okay, so the Pellies have, Mirotic coming off the books. They have Davis coming off the books. There's questions on if they are viable long-term in New Orleans. They have lived year to year for a lot now, a long time. And this year is perhaps the most year to year they've ever been. It certainly doesn't behoove them to give up first-round picks, but such is the desperation of their situation that, like, they kind of have to. I don't know. It's a really tricky spot, because if they do lose, this is a true all in. We always say, oh, they're all in. Like, if they give up first round draft picks to get a guy like Otto Porter, which they're going to have to do because they don't have the assets, I think, intrinsically to just give away players. They are truly all in, because if they lose it, then they don't even have draft picks. They lose all those guys, which could very well happen, and they could be rock bottom NBA. Then they don't even have first round picks over the next few years to make it worthwhile. So high risk, I would argue high reward, but really difficult to do with the money unless you're moving Randle, which I mean, how much of an upgrade is that in the short term?
I think it's definitely an upgrade in the short term, because you can play all three of Porter, Mirotic, and Davis together in the playoffs. Like, for a playoff series, I actually think it's a pretty significant upgrade.
It does help your best five. It does hurt your bench in a pretty significant way, because Randle has been excellent as that backup five. And I think I think him and Davis in second and third quarters is a pretty interesting stuff, but that's not a closing lineup. So that's a tough decision. I mean, there's almost there's something very basic and interesting about that. How you fall. Is it better to have a better top 8, or is it better to go all in on your closing 5? I'm willing to hear both sides of that argument.
It's tough. What is your second deal here?
Bradley Beal to the Los Angeles Clippers for Danilo Gallinari and a couple of first-round picks. Or you can throw in Uncle Milos.
So I would not do that if I was the Wizards.
No, of course not. But the Wizards don't really have a choice now in this matter, do they? This is my fantasy trade.
If I was the Wizards, I would demand honestly, I would demand Shai Gilgeous-Alexander first.
Yes. And I'm sure that the Clippers would tell them no.
I think
it's worth a conversation. It's not like an automatic no, but like I think
Bradley Beal's really good.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. But like, are the Wizards in a position to really hardball somebody here?
Yeah, with Beal, I think they are. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Like, I think he's the one guy on the roster that like there are going to be so many teams around the league calling if they decided to make a move that like. Yeah, like I think you would have to get back Shai Alexander, I think, to do that.
Okay. Fine. You still get Bradley Beal. Take
that's
a first round pick off the board.
Yeah, like that's the thing. You get Bradley Beal and you would maintain the ability essentially in a scenario like this to still have 2 max cap spots. So you would have Bradley Beal, which would sell your free agents pretty hard.
Yeah.
And you would have money for like Jimmy Butler and Kawhi or something like that.
Oh man, so that would get fun.
Yeah, like if I was the Clippers and Bradley Beal was on the table, I would say yes, I will trade Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for Bradley Beal.
Right. Yep, I agree. They should do that because Bradley Beal would then get sort of squatters' rights on stardom for the Clippers. He would kind of be the first guy there. I'm telling you, this is a thing. Kevin Durant is
right.
Kevin Durant is an incredible player, but he'll never get the full love that he really deserves because he wasn't here first.
Yeah, I can see that. That's fair.
Like Bradley Beal just gets, if you got to be the best player on the Clippers. If you want to be the face of the Clippers, you got to get there first.
Yeah, because he probably won't be the best if they're going to compete.
Correct, but if he's there first.
That's true.
Only 3 ways to get ahead. Be smarter, be first, or cheat.
Yeah. I like that, actually. The more I think about it. If I am... I don't love it if I'm Washington. If I'm Washington, the guy I'm building around is Bradley Beal.
Agreed.
But if
they
they
kind of made their choice there by giving John Wall that horrifically large contract now. It looks horrific. It made sense at the time, but
I'm not sure it did. But
no, it didn't. I've always been down on John Wall, but like, goddamn.
Yeah. But yeah, like it keeps like for the Clippers, I love that move to make it Gallinari because again, like it clears Washington's books. It gets them a player. Like I would do if I was watching, I swear, if I was the Clippers and this was the scenario, I would 100% be willing to do Gallinari, Shai Alexander, and Jerome Robinson, who they took in the lottery this year too.
Yeah. I mean, listen, like
because it gets you a star. Like it gets you
Alexander. Do we think that? Yeah. Do we think that those 2 young guys are going to be centerpieces of a title contending team in the West in 2021, 2022? No,
I think Shai can. Like I think Shai is really good.
Listen, I like Shai a lot. Like clearly, he was one of my bold predictions that he would have a better year than like Trae Young, who I think we all like Trae Young.
Trae Young's really good.
Yeah, but like I've been on the Shai train for a while now, but can't say his fucking name right, but I've been on the train. He's not the dude though. I mean, he can be a nice 4th. He could be the 4th or 5th best player on a really good team. Don't get me wrong, but like Bradley Beal is objectively better now, obviously, and still has upside.
Yeah.
He's a star, and that's the kind of moves that you have to do in LA. You just can't have a bunch of really good players on this team and be fighting for an 8 seed. Like that's not what Ballmer's about.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's what Ballmer's about either.
And it doesn't help your bottom line either. Like it's straight up, like this team needs to have a superstar to put asses in the seats. Let's not also forget this team wants to build a new arena. You're not doing that.
Competing against LeBron James.
And you're competing against LeBron James and they want to build a new arena on the West Side. You cannot do that without a superstar. And it's going to be really hard to convince a superstar or harder to convince a superstar to come play for the Clippers, the notoriously terrible Clippers, if you don't have any stars on the roster already. It's like, hey, but you get the chance to play with Boban. Like, that actually might be enticing. I take back what I said.
I was going to say, Boban is... This is a Boban-friendly podcast.
No, I'm just saying, like,
Boban.
I just talked
this is closer to getting you booted from the podcast than making me download Mojave.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel that strongly about it. Yeah, Silver Lake. Who knew? Maybe that's the only recruiting pitch that the Clippers need going forward. They just send Boban.
Keep Boban.
I'm here to recruit you, Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. Look, I fought John Wick. I will fight for you.
I forgot he was in the new John